learnings. We learned a lot of stuff, but things are not that difficult to generate the report when you are in the project mode. So I'm just sharing my Minitab screen. Is it visible to all of you? Can you confirm me?
Yes, sir, visible.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yes, sir, visible.
When you open a Minitab, this is called the worksheet. The area where you are seeing my screen, this is called worksheet. It is something like your Excel only. You can copy paste all your content from Excel and then you can copy and then paste it here. The first row, this is called gray bar. This is called gray bar. Here you can give the title for your column. The first column is called as defect. Second column is called as count. Something like that. You can type anything you want. And then under the column defect, you can write down you can have your data. You remember Dr. Ravi was explaining you the garment problem. And for the garment, same garment problem data is available with me. Now let us plot a Pareto now. Go to stat, go to quality tools, go to Pareto chart. Go to stat, go to quality tools, go to Pareto chart. And now Minitab is asking defects or attribute data, where it is. Can you tell me which column contains your defect details? Is
First
it
one.
column number? Yeah, first one, column number 1, select it. Where is the frequency available? Second column, column 2. So I select that also. Now that came. And now if there are so many data, I wanted to see the last 5% of the data. So I put 95% here. That means what? Last 5% I am not going to read. Now I give OK. Do you see a Pareto getting generated? Yes or no?
Yes.
How much time it
Yes,
took?
sir. Yes, sir. We can see, sir.
How much time it took to plot a Pareto? Not even 1 minute. Not even 1 minute. All that required is data in 2 columns. One column is defect, other column is defect frequency. And whether you have just 100 data or you have 1,000 data or you have millions of data, it's all one and same for Minitab. It is going to throw away the report, right? But you should know how can you use the Pareto, and that is why we have taught you Pareto. And now what do you understand from by looking at the Pareto? Which problem is bigger now? Defective button. Defective button is the problem which is happening higher in frequency, right? And now I want to understand as a project leader or as a leader in the company, I want to understand what actually contributes to the defective button. So I collected some more data. See here, there are 217 problems reported with respect to the defective. The split up of the 217 is available here. We discussed pant, shirt, chudidar and other things. So I go for a stratification. Stratification information is available. Go to stat, go to quality tools, go to Pareto. And now my defect detail, I will take column number 6. Count detail, I will take column number 7. As a result, I will get a new Pareto. Now you get a new Pareto. Now what is this new Pareto is telling? Defects are happening more with shirts. And then next is chudidar, next is kurti, and so on. And now again, I want to understand the problem. Okay, within the shirts, 146 defects occurred. Now I am asking my team to bring the data of 146. And now 146 is now split into some more details. See here, column number 9 and 10. Misalignment is 35. Some typo error, I think. Misalignment is 35, and then damage is 18, and stitching is 7, something like that, right? So actually it should tally. It should tally with 146. And now let me plot this. Stat, quality tools, Pareto. Now it is column 9 and 10. Column 9 and then column 10. That's all. Now I give OK. And now what do I understand? The problem which is happening with higher magnitude is misalignment. Button misalignment in the shirt section is my problem. So Pareto is helping you to focus the problem correctly. Is that clear? How to plot Pareto, all of you?
Yes.
Easy? Right. And now statistics also we learned, isn't it? So a lot of statistical tools we learned. So just a second. Let me take one more. Yes. Now another. Yeah. Do you see another mini tab screen? Quoting and then roll. Quoting is in column number 1. Roll details is in column number 2. And now there are a lot of data, near about 75 data. So now I want to calculate some statistics. What are the statistics you have learned so far? Can you please name out the statistical parameters you have mastered so far? Average, standard deviation, then
Mean, median, mode,
mean, median, mode, then
range,
range, range. Yeah, whatever you have learned, you tell me. That's all.
Gauge R&R.
Gauge R&R is a separate tool.
Poisson distribution, normal distribution, exponential distribution, central limit.
Right. I am asking you statistics. Statistics means the parameters. These are all tools. Your gauge R&R, these are all tools. So statistics like quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, interquartile range, isn't it? So many things, right? And now let me go to stat, go to basic statistics. You see display descriptive statistics, click that. And then where is the variable? Variable is in column number 1. I select column number 1. And now statistics. You see a lot of statistics available here. Mean, standard error of mean, standard deviation, variance, coefficient of variation, so many things. You can select whatever you want. But before selecting, you should know about it, isn't it? Before selecting, you should know about it. Now I am simply clicking all. That means everything is selected. Okay, and another okay. Now all the statistics are calculated for you. You don't have to do anything. You can get all the result, and there is where the result appears, that is called a session window. The session window will give you the result. Do you see? Lot of result, right? So what is that we have done? Go to stat, basic stat, display descriptive statistics. And then after going to display descriptive statistics, we can select the variable and then we can select the statistics. For example, I don't want anything. I only want the mean. I want standard deviation. I want the variance. I want the minimum value. I want the maximum value. I want the range, because these are all known to me. I want the sum of the data. So you can learn as much statistics as possible and then you can use it in your analysis. I give okay, again okay. Now whatever I selected only will come. You see here mean is coming, standard deviation is coming, variance is coming, sum is coming, minimum, maximum, range. Clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So now one more thing. For the same thing, you go to stat, go to basic stat. There is something called graphical summary. I want graphical summary of quoting data. I give okay. This is the graphical summary. And now looking at the graphical summary is nothing but your histogram. What is this histogram? One of the 7 basic QC tool. And now looking at the histogram, tell me, is your data normally distributed? Looking at the histogram, can you tell me whether your data is normally distributed? It's an approximate method only. Still you
Yes.
can
Oh.
yes or no, or it is both.
Yes, sir. It is normally distributed.
It is normally distributed, right? And there are also statistical way. One statistical way is you can see p-value written here. Whenever the p-value is more than 5%, whenever the p-value is more than 5%, 5% means 0.05. You can note down this rule, very important rule, which you will be learning in hypothesis testing. When p-value is more than 0.05, you don't have evidence. You don't have evidence to say that the data is not normal. You don't have evidence to say that the data is not normal. What is the p-value you are seeing here? 0.2. 0.2 means more than 0.05. So no evidence to say data is not normal. When you don't have evidence, when you don't have evidence to say the data is not normal, you must assume data is normal. right? When I don't have evidence to say that you are bad, I will simply assume you're all good. Am I right? When I don't have evidence to say that you're all bad, I will simply assume that all of you are good. Same way, when you don't have evidence to say that your data is not normal, you must simply assume that data is normal, because normality is is what happens most of the time. So generally, any data is considered to be normal only when you don't have evidence to say it is not normal, right? So now this is the what you call the graphical summary. And now go to graph. There is something called probability distribution table. RK sir today taught you probability, right? Probability calculation. So you can do it effortlessly here. Probability distribution table. What do you want to know? You want to know the probability. View probability. Give OK. Give OK. And then I can give any value I want. For example, my particular product is thickness. Thickness is important. The requirement is 50 mm is the thickness requirement. And the history of the population is known. According to the history of the population, standard deviation is 0.5. Now 50 is the thickness, standard deviation is 0.5. Now I go to shaded area. Shaded area, right. And now I want to understand the probability. I want to understand the probability. I select this both tail. Both tail, this one, two values. I want to understand the probability of my product, or the proportion of my product that will lie between 49.5 and 50.5. Do you understand what is 50? 50 is the
Mean.
average or the center value, mean value. And 0.5 is how much? 0.5 is what? 0.5 was the assumed standard deviation, right? See here, 0.5 is standard deviation, 50 is average. The average in my sample is 50, standard deviation in my sample is 0.5. Now what do I want is, I want to know the probability of my products to lie between 49.5 and 50.5. Can somebody tell me what is the distance of 49.5 from 50?
1.
0.5. 0.5. Distance of 49.5 from 50 is 0.5. What is 0.5? According to you, that is 1 sigma. Am I right? That is according to you, that is 1 sigma. Similarly, 50.5 is also at a distance of 1 sigma. Now tell me what proportion of parts will lie between 49.5 mm and 50.5 mm?
8%.
How much?
16.
2 sigma.
Louder, 68.27.
Yes, sir.
I give OK. Do you see 68.27% of your products falling exactly within 49.5 and 50.5?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So even before producing the product, just with the information of the sample, you are predicting what percentage is going to be between 49.5 and 50.5. If the customer tolerance is 50 plus or minus 0.5, customer tolerance is 50 plus or minus 0.5. Now tell me what percentage of products your customer might reject. Tell me what percentage of your products your customer might reject if
32.
32% of your products will be rejected by the customer, isn't it? So this is how you can use the probability knowledge in your business. You can calculate likewise, for any value. Probability distribution plot, view the probability, and then this value you can feed here, your sample characteristics, and then what do you want to know? For example, I want to simply, understand what percentage can be from 46 to 51, right? So some value, or let me make it 51. This side is 49. Now, can you make a guess? What percentage is going to come between 49 and 51?
95.
Beautiful. 95.45 to be precisely, isn't it? So simply you give the input and all the calculation is taken care. You don't have to really calculate X bar minus mu by sigma, and everything is calculated in the background. and then the result comes. But see here, these are our values. Now rejection happens with respect to the specification limit. With respect to the specification limit. If the specification limit is 51 and 49, then you can understand rejection will be 4.5%. If the specification limit is well inside, then rejection is going to be much more. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And now RK sir has gave you some template to calculate the CP and CPK. Now I'm going to teach you how to use Minitab to calculate CP CPK as well as PP PPK. Go to Stat, go to Quality Tools, go to Capability Analysis. And now here there is a capability called Between Within Capability. Between Within Capability. I click that. After selecting that, data is in column number 1. I select that. Data is selected. Subgroup size. Looking at the data, I understand my subgroup size is 3. I'll show you the data also. Now lower spec and upper spec. The lower spec is 47, upper spec is 53. That means the targeted value is 50. Clear? How I fed all the values? And now I give OK. Now what happened? Minitab throws this result. Right? So what is this result? Now somebody tell me what is the PP value? PP value is how much? 1.1. PP and PPK is 1.15. This is called overall capability. So you should know what is overall capability. And then below there is something called between within capability. Between within capability. And now between within capability, CP is 1.26, CPK is 1.21. Clear? And then coming here, the overall performance according to the PP PPK values. See here, the parts per million below LSL. How many parts I may produce below LSL? How many parts you will produce below LSL? 292. Clear? What is this 292? 292 ppm. Similarly, how many parts you will produce above USL?
100.
100.61. And so totally 393 units will be rejected out of 1 million parts you are going to produce. Out of 1 million parts you are going to produce, 393 parts will get rejected. But this is reflecting in your PPPPK. This is reflecting in your PPPPK. And but from the between within capability is nothing but CPCPK. According to that, you estimate that only 148 parts will go below LSL and 45 parts will go above USL. As a result, total number of parts rejected will be 193. But according to PPPPK, 394 parts will get rejected. Which one you should believe now? Whether you should believe 194 or you should believe 394?
393. 394.
394. Why? You know why? In long term.
Because I have to perform in long term only.
Yeah, in long term, the deterioration will be more, and as a result, more failures will happen. So PPPPK are called long-term capability or overall capability. CPCPK are called between within capability or the short-term capability. And left side, all the data we have fed or recorded here. LSL is 47, USL is 53, sample mean is this much, and number of sample is 75. And see so many standard deviation, overall standard deviation, between standard deviation, within standard deviation, and then between within standard deviation. As a black belt, you should understand the difference between all the standard deviation. If all the difference between all the standard deviation is not known to you, you will know what exactly you are doing with your data. If you don't know the difference between all these standard deviation, then that is where confusion happens. And most of the black belts today in the market, they don't know that this many standard deviation exist. All that they know is only 1 sigma. But now how many sigmas are here? Can somebody tell me?
4.
Right, sir.
4. All are one and same or different?
Different.
All
All
are
are
different. So if you understand all 4, then always you get 4 different meaning whenever you look at the data. See, sigma is the problem, source of problem for everything. If there are 4 types of sigma exist, then properly understanding all the 4 standard deviation, you can figure out what is exactly going wrong. If you can figure out what is exactly going wrong, will you be able to take action?
Yes, sir.
Definitely you will be able to take action, right? So I'm going to teach you what is CPCPK and then what is PPPPK. All right. So let me get my slides. Yes, I'm ready. All of you are still energetic today?
Very interesting statistics.
Very good. Then it is fine. And moreover, we are also going slow. I don't know the reason, but we are definitely going slow. Generally, by this time, we could comfortably finish the measure and then we'll be in analyze, but we're going slow. But nothing to worry. Somehow we will try to finish